Hey guys, welcome back. Behind me is a 2017 Toyota Yaris IA, but it is made by Mazda. It is very similar to the Mazda 2, I guess, with different badges on the front and rear. So not the typical Toyota. It doesn't have a Toyota engine, it's all Mazda stuff. Customer complaint is intermittent stalling and intermittent no start. It's already been back to the Ford dealership where they bought it used. They couldn't help them. They told them that they needed to take it somewhere else or to the Toyota dealership. We're across the street from the Ford dealership. They came to us and I scanned the vehicle when I pulled it in the bay. Unfortunately, right now the car won't start. I guess it is fortunate because now we can diagnose it. It was an intermittent issue and now it is a constant issue, so it'll be easier for us to find what the problem is. Let me go over the code list real quick and then we'll start checking stuff out. Okay, so this has the 1.5 liter engine, direct injection. It doesn't have the dual injection that the Toyota motor has, as far as I can tell. And we have a bunch of communication failures. So U0 100, 115, 121, 131, communication error to PCM on the high-speed network, to PCM on the local CAN between TC and PCM, to DSC HUCM. I'm not sure what that module is. EPS control module. And then as we go down the list, we have some other stuff going on as well. So lots of communication failures. Now, this is a smart key vehicle. There is a smart key module. It has a code. It doesn't have a communication code, surprisingly. It has an ignition 1 relay code. It doesn't say open circuit or short to ground. So we're going to have to do some more research to find out what that is. So I suppose we could check Identifix just to see if there's anything common. I'm not familiar with this vehicle. Maybe there's a service bulletin or something. I guess we can try no com. See if anything comes up. And there may not be a lot in here since it's a newer vehicle. So there is a there's a service bulletin for reflash procedures. That's probably not going to be the issue we're facing here. And then there's information about the codes, different communication codes. But there's no Identifix articles. There's no confirmed fixes on anything. We can try that relay code. Well, that's not it. That's the VIN number. Was that a B? To go back. B10E7. And Identifix has zero information. Let's try ProDemand. Hopefully they have some information. Got the VIN pasted in there. Look up. Okay. So using the one search feature, B10E7. This will pull up, I believe, SureTrack information and search results. So nothing related to that. We just have this one here. We can do keyword or this. Not a lot of information here either. Normally there's a whole page full of stuff. Let's go to OEM test procedures. Okay, so there's a bunch of sub-identifiers on these codes. We have 11, 12, 16, 17. Let's jump back, see what our identifier was. Failure type 16. So ignition on relay circuit voltage below threshold is the code. So that's a little more information than we had before from the scan tool. And here's what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this in from this file, and then we'll go back so we can mark off stuff that we've done, tests that we've done, and information that's critical to what we're doing. Okay, so the code that we're chasing is the B10E7 failure type 16. That's what I have pulled up right here. Ignition on relay circuit voltage below threshold. So let's find out what that actually means and what tests they give us, what components are involved. So same thing here, ignition on relay circuit voltage below threshold. DTC, detection condition, IG1 relay circuit malfunction. Okay, so it involves the IG1 relay. That's more information than we had before. Warning indicator, key warning light red, not applicable. So this is a push to start, so I'm guessing that means that that warning light, the red warning light, may come on or something, but not for this case. The engine switch indicator light amber will be flashing if we have this condition. The vehicle won't start right now. I suppose we could jump over, check real quick, see if we have that condition. I got the key. Looks like a Mazda key with a Toyota logo. And of course it'll probably start because that's just how my luck is. No, it won't. So we have a flashing, slow flashing, that looks sort of amber, but it kind of looks red. Can't really tell, so nothing's happening. That screen there turns on, but I don't have a dash. I don't have anything. I'm holding the key up to it. Sometimes if the battery's low, that helps. We got nothing. Now keep in mind, I drove this vehicle in the shop and was able to scan it. I walked away with it running for a little bit and then turned it off, came back over and tried to start it again to pull it further into my bay, and it wouldn't start. So I figured, I'm staying late. We're going to figure out what's going on right now because we don't know if this is going to happen or be duplicatable tomorrow. So we have a sort of amber, it looked red to me-ish, indicator light that's flashing slowly. We have a code stored. Failsafe operation doesn't apply. The failsafe is the car doesn't start. And drive cycle doesn't matter. Self-test type, constant memory, diagnostic trouble code. Okay, so detection condition, engine stop and start ECU detects the IG1 monitor voltage of less than 2.5 volts for 1 second or more while the engine is not being cranked with the ignition switch on. Well, it's kind of hard to crank the engine with the ignition switch off, but engine on or off or on. So the ignition switch is on. They don't care if the engine's running or not. It detected that the IG1 monitor voltage was less than 2.5 volts for 1 second or more. That's a really long time for a criteria. So, trouble area, IG1 malfunction, the circuit malfunction, which could be short to ground and wiring harness between the main 200 amp fuse. Well, that would be a big problem if we have a shorted 200 amp wire. And IG1 terminal 3. That fuse could be popped, so maybe somebody jump started it backwards. I don't know what all is powered off that 200 amp fuse, but I'm guessing if it was popped, then it would be a constant condition. So I'm betting that's not going to be it. An open circuit wiring harness between battery positive terminal and IG1 relay terminal 3. So we could have a broken wire, bad connection between B plus and IG1 terminal 3. So we'll need to find where IG1 is and maybe identification for that so we can actually do some testing. What else we have? We have engine stop and start ECU connector or terminal malfunction. I didn't know this had the start stop feature, but it seems like that could be a playing factor in this. Wiring harness between IG1 relay terminal 5 and engine stop and start ECU terminal D6-17 malfunction. Okay, I think we're hoping that it's going to be something basic that we can check and not have to go to the start stop ECU unless it's easy to get to. Maybe it's under the hood. Other things that we could have is short to ground in the wiring harness between IG1 terminal 5 and engine start stop relay, or this CU IG1 15 amp fuse could be an issue. So we'll have to find out where this fuse is. That could be a factor. It could be a bad fuse. It could be almost blown but not quite. Could have poor connection, or the computer could be bad. So we have several things to test, but right here we have the circuit diagram. So that's one nice thing about the factory repair information. Whenever you get a chart like this, is you often have all the information you need to do the test for that code in that repair procedure. So we have our battery here. The vehicle started up fine and ran fine, so I'm assuming the battery is okay. Main 200 amp fuse. It looks like there is a fuse block attached to the battery. I'm guessing that's where that fuse is at. So we'll verify that that's still good, because the vehicle is acting up. But at the same time, I do get the flashing warning light. So if that fuse was blown, would we get that? We don't really know. I don't know what all this powers up. We have the IG1 relay, and we have the 15 amp fuse. This is in the relay and fuse block, so that's probably under the hood. And then we have the ECU over here. I'm hoping we can do most of our testing in this area, because that's probably going to be the most easy accessible to testing places. It gives us a pinout of the relay. So it's not the typical Bosch 5-pin relay. This is probably a micro relay of some sort. It gives us procedure for testing the relay. So here's what I want to do. Since it's going to be fairly easy for us to check voltage at the battery, at this fuse, and this fuse, let's go ahead and do that first. We can work our way through the system, find out if we have voltage everywhere we need to. If we have voltage at this fuse, so at this terminal here, then, sorry, that's a really bad arrow, then we may have to check it at the ECU, make sure we have voltage there. The ECU is what's controlling that relay. So if the ECU is bad, it may not be energizing, or yeah, it would have to be a positive control, because the relay is grounded over here. So maybe that computer is not operating the relay properly. The relay could be bad, or it could be connections anywhere through this. We can look at our battery connections and do some voltage testing. Okay, I'm just going to go for the test light first. It looks like we have our battery positive lead here. How does that come off of there? And we have several fuses on the side of this battery. 200 amp, 200 amp, 100 amp, 60, and 50. There's nothing on that one, and that one is a 60. So this 200 amp is this big guy right here. It's powering up my test light, so that's about 300 milliamps. I would hope that 200 amp fuse can power that up. Actually, that's probably this one here. It says main. There's a 200 amp starter fuse. That doesn't seem right, but I suppose. That one's good. I don't see any physical damage to the fuse. It doesn't look burnt. I don't see any corrosion on the battery cable ends. So I'm guessing our problem is not at that location. Okay, so we have lots of low profile mini fuses in here. Some low profile J cases. Bunch of relays. And some wires coming in the top, and it looks like a bunch coming in the bottom. So let me look at the legend here, see if we can find the IG1 fuse and the IG1 relay. So, is that right? There's so many missing slots, it's hard to tell. But it looks like this green relay is, I don't want to touch too much stuff, is the IG1 relay. Where's the IG1 fuse? Okay, there's two fuses. There's the CU IG1 and there's an engine IG1. Okay, so we have the IG1 fuse, the CU IG1 fuse, and then right below it we have an engine IG1 fuse. Now I didn't see the engine IG1 fuse on the diagram. So maybe that one just doesn't pertain to this code. It could be powered off the same relay since it is an IG1 fuse, but the only one they're monitoring is this 15 amp fuse. I currently don't have any power. So let me go try to start the car. We'll see what happens. Okay, the car won't start. It is clicking. It sounds like the throttle body is opening and closing, making a ratcheting noise. So let's go ahead and check. It still didn't start. That light is still flashing amber. I didn't hear the clicking earlier when we tested it, but let's go ahead and check voltage, or check with the test light at that fuse. And I don't have anything at that fuse. And actually it seems like as soon as I go to test the fuse, the clicking noise kind of gets quieter, or it quits clicking altogether. And as soon as I let off, it starts clicking again. So it might be that my test light is just enough to pull the voltage down and cause that circuit to go completely ground. I'm going to go ahead and grab the lab scope at this point. I mean, we know we have no power here. We have power at the battery. We don't know if we have power here. But since I get some clicking, I'm going to grab the lab scope. If I didn't have the lab scope, my next test would be testing for power through the relay here. But since the diagram shows that it goes through the relay right out to this fuse. Oops, I don't know what I did there. Okay, touching that to ground is making other stuff click. Let's go ahead and grab the lab scope. I think I'll pull out this 15 amp fuse and put a fuse tap in just to make it easier to monitor. Okay, so we have the fuse tap in the CU IG1 fuse location. Let's pull up the picoscope and see what we have for voltage. Okay, so what we're seeing is not very good. As I hear that clicking noise, our voltage goes up. I guess we can throw a couple of rulers on here, find out what we're at. So our kind of steady voltage is 1.17. Every once in a while it jumps up, and we're at 3.2. So we're supposed to have 12 volts. Let me jump back to that diagram. Okay, we had power. Oops. Coming out of the battery. We had it through the 200 amp main relay. We are testing at the IG1 fuse. So if this relay is closed, we should have full battery power. So next, I would like to try and test underneath this relay without removing it, because we don't want to disturb it. We'll see if maybe we can fit one of the back probe needles underneath there and touch those terminals. We have a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 5. The 3 and the 5 are going to be our power wires. So let's see. Power comes in on 3, so at the end of the relay, goes out on 5. 1 or 2 are the control, or the closing solenoid. Let's see if we can get one of these needles underneath that relay. And it appears to be acting a little differently. We have a longer period of time with voltage, and then it drops down. So let's go ahead and get this tested quick before it starts working properly. Yeah, we should be good. So the green channel. Let's see if I can move those out of the way. Sneak underneath this relay. Okay, I just touched something. I hope it's a terminal. So if that is indeed my power source into the relay, that looks pretty steady. I don't want to move and jump over there and draw the line, but from where I'm standing, it looks like battery voltage. I'm going to try and miss that terminal 3, and we're going to jump back to terminal 5. Okay, whatever I did, it just... Okay, making sure it's still acting up. I don't want to back probe too deep in here and touch terminal 1 or 2. Okay, it just quit acting up. I don't know if that's because I was touching this relay or not. Yeah, so it's not acting up now. Do we dare tap on the relay? Is that gonna prove us right or wrong? I got a little drop there, but I don't think it was in both channels, so that might have just been my probe slipping off the terminal. Well, maybe that test isn't going to work for us today. Let me, since we're good now, I'm just going to pull the relay out and drop it back in. Maybe when it closes the contact, it'll act up again. Okay, I think that proved it, but let's go ahead and check here. We have no voltage there. Is it plugged in all the way? And our source voltage, did I lose it? Yep, we have 12 volts on the source. We have not very good on the output. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of this lead here. I'm just going to unplug it and plug it back in to see if it jumps up to full voltage. Actually, just wiggling it made it jump up to full voltage. So yeah, I'm pretty sure we need a IG1 relay. That's probably going to fix all of our issues. This is probably why we have communication issues also. Pulling this relay out, it has a Mazda symbol on it, so I don't necessarily have to go to Toyota for this. I'll probably call the Toyota dealership, and I'll probably call the Mazda dealership and see who is cheapest and who can get it the fastest. I don't think it's a connection issue down below because, okay, I have a little scratch there where my piercing probe was touching it, and same with the back terminal. So I know that I was making contact on the relay itself. I had power going in and crappy power coming out. Plug that in and it's not very good. Tap on it and we get all kinds of junk happening. If I flex it and manipulate the relay, yeah, it's not happy. So that's going to be our issue. Okay, I'm glad that the vehicle started acting up here in the bay because I don't know if the Ford dealership couldn't get it to act up or they just didn't have the service information required to work on it. I assume that it would be similar to something in the Ford lineup, whether that be like a Focus or Fusion or Fiesta. Is it Fiesta? Festiva? Fiesta. Yeah. Siesta. Valerie says Siesta. I figured it'd be something similar in the Ford lineup, since they borrow from Mazda all the time, or there was back and forth. But I don't know, maybe it didn't act up on them. I got lucky maybe. Ran it in the bay for about 30 minutes after I scanned it, shut it off, wouldn't start back up. That was probably just opening that relay. When I went to turn it back on, the relay wouldn't close properly. There's probably carbon on the contacts. I suppose you could probably open it up and clean them up, but it'll probably just fail again. So I'm going to try and get a relay. I'm really surprised that there was no articles on Identifix. I'll probably have to type something up and get that in there just to help other people out. If I run into any more issues, then I'll let you guys know. We'll do a follow-up video. But if you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you have questions or comments, put those down below. If you want to see more videos like this, we also do live streams on some weekends if we have a vehicle to diagnose, and some other scanner stuff. So if you want to see those, subscribe and click the bell. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.